You know what hurts the most? It's not when life knocks you down. It's when people, the ones you trusted, the ones you loved, look at you and say, you'll never make it. You're not smart enough. You're not built for this. They don't even realize wise was words do to you. They ignite something. They plant a fire deep inside, a fire that doesn't die. You see, there's something powerful that happens. Someone looks at you and says, you can't. Most people take that as rejection. They take it as a wall, a limit, a full stop. But what if that wasn't rejection at all? What if that was fuel? What if that was life handing you energy in disguise? Because every single time someone doubts you, they're giving you something. You just don't realize it yet. They're giving you a spark. You can take that spark and let it burn you down, or you can use it to ignite something unstoppable. That's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who rise. The ones who rise don't waste time fighting the world. They turn that doubt into drive. They turn every you can't into watch me. I remember moments in my life when people didn't believe. People I respected, people I thought would stand by me. And when they didn't, when they looked me in the eye and told me I was dreaming too big, something in me broke, but that break became the beginning of something new. Because pain can do two things. It can destroy you or it can build you. It's your choice. The truth is, pain is the most honest teacher you'll ever meet. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It doesn't lie to you. It shows you exactly who you are when everything feels like it's falling apart, when the world turns its back, when no one claps. When you're standing in the dark wondering why you even started, that's when your real power begins to show. You want to prove everyone wrong. Then stop trying to convince them. Stop wasting your time trying to get them to see what you see. Use that time to build. Use that energy to grow. Every second you spend trying to make them believe is a second you could have spent making yourself unstoppable. Let their doubt become your discipline. Let their silence become your focus. Let their laughter become your soundtrack. You don't have to scream to the world that you're going to make it. Just keep moving. Just keep building. The noise will fade, but results will echo. Here's the thing. The people who doubted you are not your enemies. They're your accelerators. They push you to levels you would have never reached if life had been easy. They challenge your comfort, and comfort is the enemy of growth. So when someone says, you'll never make it, don't argue. Just nod your head, walk away, and let time do the talking. Because time exposes truth. You can't fake persistence. You can't fake consistency. The world remembers who stays when everyone else quits. But to turn pain into power, you have to shift your mindset. You can't see yourself as a victim. You can't see rejection as proof you're not enough. You have to see it as a message you're being redirected. Every disappointment is life saying, not this way. There's something better. Think about it. Some of your biggest breakthroughs came right after your biggest heartbreaks. The doors that slammed in your face pushed you toward the ones you were meant to walk through. The people who left created the space for the right ones to show up. The failures that embarrassed you became the foundation of your strength. But most people never get that far. They let pain bury them instead of build them. They stop too early. They quit right before life is about to reveal why it all had to happen that way. They trade long-term greatness for short-term comfort. Don't do that. Don't let the opinions of others decide how far you go. You've got something inside you that's stronger than rejection, stronger than fear, stronger than every no you've ever heard. But you'll never see that strength until life forces you to use it. So when things get tough, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Because the moment you shift that question, everything changes. You begin to realize that every ounce of pain, every moment of doubt, every lonely night, it was all training. Training for this moment, for your comeback, for the version of you that doesn't need validation anymore. You are not the opinions of others. You are not their doubts. You are not their projections. You are energy, potential, and possibility. And when you choose to turn pain into power, nothing can stop you. Not rejection, not failure, not fear you want to prove them wrong. Do it by living right. Do it by showing up when it's hard. Do it by refusing to quit. Let your actions scream louder than their words. Let your success become your response. Because one day, the same people who laughed will tell others they knew you all along. And when that day comes, you won't need to say a word. You'll just smile because you'll know the truth. You didn't just prove them wrong. You proved yourself right. You know what most people do when they're doubted? They start explaining themselves. They start defending their dreams. They waste their energy trying to make small minds understand big visions. But here's the truth. When you're on a mission to change your life, not everyone is going to understand it. They can't, because your vision wasn't given to them. It was given to you. And that means you don't owe anyone an explanation. At some point, you have to stop trying to be understood and start being undeniable. You have to stop trying to get people to believe in you and start believing in yourself so fiercely that their opinions lose all power. When you stop chasing validation, you take your power back. When you stop explaining your purpose, you start living it. See, the problem is we've been conditioned to think that if people don't approve of us, we're doing something wrong. But in reality, the opposite is true. When people start questioning you, when they start doubting your decisions, it usually means you're doing something different. You're breaking patterns. You're stepping away from the comfort zone they chose to stay in. And that makes them uncomfortable. Don't take their doubt personally. It's a reflection of their limits, not yours. They're not seeing your potential. They're seeing their fears projected onto you. And if you're not careful, you'll start carrying those fears as if they're your own. That's how dreams die, one doubt at a time. So you've got to protect your peace. You've got to protect your vision like it's oxygen. You can't breathe life into your goals while you're constantly suffocating under other people's opinions. Silence the noise, not by arguing, not by proving, but by producing. Let your results do the talking. When people said, you can't, don't try to convince them. Just go build it. Go do it. Go live it. Because one day, those same people will look at your life and realize you never needed their approval. You just needed your commitment. The most powerful thing you can ever do is move in silence. Not because you're hiding, but because you're focused. Noise distracts. Energy leaks when you keep explaining your plans to people who don't have the capacity to see beyond their own limits. You don't need their understanding to succeed. You need your discipline to stay consistent. I want you to think about something. Every great person you've ever admired, every creator, innovator, leader, they all had moments when no one believed in them. People laughed at their ideas. They were told that'll never work, but they didn't waste time arguing. They built. They created, they turned their vision into proof. That's what you've got to do. You've got to become so focused on the work that the world has no choice but to notice. And by the time they do, it's too late for their opinions to matter. You're not here to live up to expectations. You're here to exceed your own. You're not here to convince anyone that you're worthy. You're here to live like you already are. The moment you stop seeking permission, your energy changes. You move differently. You think clearer, you stop reacting to negativity because you're too busy creating momentum. And here's the thing, some people will never understand what drives you. They'll look at your sacrifices, your long nights, your grind, and they'll think you're crazy. But that's okay, let them think that, because one day when they see what you've built, they'll understand that the very thing they called crazy was just your commitment. You've got to develop the strength to walk alone for a while. You've got to be willing to look like the fool before you become the example, because greatness doesn't make sense at the beginning. It only makes sense in hindsight. And when you finally reach that point, when your results speak louder than words ever could, you'll realize that you never needed to silence the noise around you. You just needed to turn up the volume of your purpose. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. Every time you choose silence over defending yourself, you're saying, I'm too focused to argue. You're saying, I'm not here to prove my worth. I'm here to live it. And that's the kind of energy that changes everything. So if they doubt you, let them. If they talk, let them. If they don't believe, let them. Because while they're talking, you're transforming. While they're watching, you're working. While they're waiting to see you fail, you're building something they'll never understand until it's too late. And when that moment comes, you won't need to say a word. You won't need to post a comeback. You won't need to prove your point. Your growth will speak for you. Your peace will speak for you. Your results will speak for you. The loudest way to prove everyone wrong is to say nothing at all. You know, what separates the people who dream, people who actually make it happen, it's not talent. It's not luck. It's not even motivation, it's discipline. Discipline is what builds an unshakable mind, because motivation comes and goes, but discipline, that's what stays when everything else disappears. Motivation is that spark that gets you started, but discipline, that's the fire that keeps you going when the spark fades out. There are going to be days when you don't feel like it. You won't feel strong. You won't feel inspired. You'll wake up and everything in you will want to hit snooze to take a break, to wait until you feel ready. But the truth is that moment never comes. The people who win in life aren't the ones who wait for the right feeling. They're the ones who act in spite of it. They've trained their minds to do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. See, your mind will always try to protect you from discomfort. It will whisper, you've done enough today. You deserve a rest. It will tell you, it's okay. You can start again tomorrow. And that's the trap, because tomorrow turns into next week. Next week turns into next month. And before you know it, you're stuck in the same place you promised yourself you'd leave behind. An unshakable mind doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. It creates them. It doesn't need external approval or the right environment to move forward. It decides, no matter what's happening around me, I'm in control of what's happening inside me. That's power. That's mental mastery. You want to know how to build that kind of mind? You do it through repetition, through small, consistent actions done even when it's hard. You build it every time you show up when you don't feel like it, every time you choose effort over excuse, every time you take one more step when everything in you says stop. Discipline is a muscle. You train it by doing what others won't. You strengthen it by keeping the promises you make to yourself. Because let me tell you something, the most damaging thing you can ever do is break your own word. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, and don't, a piece of your confidence dies. You start to believe your own excuses more than your own potential. But when you keep those small promises, even the ones no one sees, you start to trust yourself again. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. You can't control the world's opinion of you, but you can control your consistency. You can control your effort, your focus, your attitude. And that's what builds resilience. That's what builds a mind that doesn't break when things get tough. Because life will test you. It's not a question of if, it's when. You'll face rejection. You'll hit walls. You'll fail, and in those moments, motivation won't be enough. You'll need something stronger. You'll need that inner voice that says, I'm not done yet. You'll need that mental armor that keeps you moving when the world says stop. Discipline doesn't just make you stronger. It frees you. It frees you from the ups and downs of emotion. You stop depending on how you feel and you start depending on what you've decided. And that's the moment you stop being controlled by life and you start directing it. You have to understand something. Most people never lose because they lack ability. They lose because they lack focus. They get distracted by noise, by comfort, by instant gratification. They want quick results, but greatness doesn't come quick. It comes from repetition, from doing the hard thing over and over until it becomes who you are. When you train your mind to stay committed no matter what, you begin to separate yourself from the crowd. You start to feel different. You start to think differently. And that's when your environment starts to bend around you instead of you bending to it. There's a moment in everyone's journey where the excitement fades, the applause quiets, the progress slows, and that's when most people quit. But those who keep going, those who stay consistent in the dark, they're the ones who rise in the light. Because discipline isn't built when things are easy, it's built in the silence of struggle. So stop chasing motivation and start mastering consistency. Motivation might get you started, but only discipline will finish what you started. Train your mind to follow through no matter how you feel. Show up for yourself every single day, even when you're tired, even when you're uninspired, even when no one is watching. Because when you do, you'll start to realize something incredible. Life starts to bend for the disciplined. Doors start to open. Opportunities appear. Progress compounds. Not because of luck, but because you built a mind that refused to quit. And when you reach that level, when your discipline becomes your identity, no one can take that away from you. Not the critics, not the failures, not the fear. You'll stand in any storm and know you can't be shaken. That's when you stop chasing strength and become it. Failure, it's a word that scares people more than anything. It's the thing most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid. But here's the truth. Failure isn't the end. It's evidence that you're still in the fight. It's proof that you're still trying, still daring, still reaching for something beyond what's comfortable. The only people who never fail are the ones who never try. The ones who sit on the sidelines, judging, criticizing, wishing they had the courage to even take a step. Every single person you've ever admired has a trail of failure behind them. Every success story is a series of comebacks stitched together with pain, doubt, and persistence. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't that one group never fell. It's that they refused to stay down. They used the fall as a lesson, as leverage, as fuel. You see, failure doesn't define you. Your response to it does. Most people experience failure and start building walls. They start protecting themselves from the possibility of getting hurt again. They tell themselves, I'm just not cut out for this, and they step back. But winners, they build doors instead. They take every failure and turn it into an opening, another chance to grow stronger, sharper, wiser. I want you to think about something for a second. When a baby learns to walk, they fall hundreds of times, they don't stop. They don't say, maybe walking isn't for me. They fall, they cry, they get up, and they try again. They don't see falling as failure, they see it as feedback. Somewhere along the line, as we grow older, we forget that. We start taking every stumble person that we attach shame to, we start believing the lie that failure means we're not enough. But failure isn't a verdict, it's a teacher. It's showing you what didn't work so you can discover what will. It's pointing you towards your next step. You can either resist that lesson or learn from it, and that choice will determine your destiny. There were times in my life when I thought I was finished. Times I thought I had given everything I had only to fall flat. I remember sitting there feeling broken, wondering if I should just give up. But what I didn't realize then was that those moments weren't endings, they were beginnings disguised as loss. Because every time I fell, I found something inside me that wasn't there before. Strength, grit, clarity. You learn who you are when you fail. You learn what you're capable of when things fall apart. You discover whether you're truly committed or just interested. When everything is easy, it's easy to look strong. But when the lights go out and the applause stops, that's when you see what you're really made of. Failure is not your enemy, it's your mirror. It reflects your weaknesses so you can turn them into power. It reveals what you still need to learn so that the next version of you is wiser, tougher, and more grounded. Every setback carries a seed of strength inside it, but you have to be willing to look for it. The people who keep coming back after loss, after rejection, after heartbreak, they're not superhuman. They just made a decision. I won't let this be the end of my story. They understand that falling isn't failure. Quitting is. You only lose when you stop showing up. Think about it. Every time you've been knocked down, you had two choices: stay there and call it defeat, or get up and call it growth. Every comeback starts with a decision. It's not about being fearless. It's about being faithful to the fight. It's about saying, I may be broken, but I'm not finished. And here's what most people don't realize. Every great comeback carries scars. The strongest people aren't the ones who never fell. They're the ones who learn how to rise with bruises, with lessons, with humility. You can't fake resilience. You have to earn it through experience, through the nights you wanted to quit but didn't, through the moments that tested your belief and still couldn't break it. So if you've failed, if you've fallen, if you've been rejected, good. It means you're still in the game. It means you're still alive, still daring, still moving towards something bigger than fear. Don't let failure make you bitter. Let it make you better. Don't let it harden you. Let it refine you. Because every time you rise again, you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. And one day when people look at your success, they'll see the surface, the applause, the results, the story. But you'll know the truth. You'll know that every achievement was built on top of 100 moments where you could have quit, but didn't. You'll know that every setback was really a setup for your next level. Failure doesn't break you, it reveals you. And if you're still standing, still breathing, still willing to fight, then the story isn't over yet. Because the comeback is always stronger than the setback. There comes a moment in life when you have to stop living by the story other people wrote for you. Because whether you realize it or not, most of us are walking around carrying labels we never chose. Someone told you who you were. Someone decided what you were capable of. Someone defined your limits before you ever had the chance to test them. And for years, you've been living inside those limits as if they were truth. But they're not truth. They're opinions. They're projections. And it's time to stop letting other people's voices narrate your life. Maybe someone told you weren't smart enough. Maybe someone made you feel like you didn't have what it takes. Maybe they made you believe that your past disqualified you from your future. But listen, no one gets to define you except you. You are not your mistakes. You are not your circumstances. You are not what happened to you. You are what you decide to become from this moment forward. Every single day, you get a choice. You can replay the old story, the one where you keep reliving your failures, your pain, your regrets, or you can write a new one. You can rewrite the script and say, this is who I was, but it's not who I am anymore. Growth means outgrowing the versions of yourself that other people were comfortable with. It means being willing to disappoint people who only loved you for your limitations. See? Most people don't resist your growth because they hate you. They resist it because your evolution reminds them of what they're not doing. It challenges their comfort. When you start changing, when you start breaking patterns, people will say, you've changed. And they'll mean it as an insult. But that's the point. You were never supposed to stay the same. The truth is, you can't become who you're meant to be while clinging to who you used to be. You can't build a new future while defending an old identity. So stop trying to prove to everyone that you're still the same person they once knew. You're not. You're evolving. You're growing. You're transforming. And that's something to be proud of, not ashamed of. Most people spend their lives waiting for permission to be who they really are. They wait for someone to validate their dreams, to tell them it's okay to change direction, to give them a sign that it's finally time, but that permission will never come. The world doesn't hand you freedom, you take it. You claim it the moment you decide you're done living small, and it starts with the way you speak to yourself, the way you think, the way you see your own reflection. Because the story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. If you keep telling yourself you're broken, you'll stay broken. If you keep repeating the words they use to hurt you, you'll keep living under their control. But the moment you start saying, I am more than they said I was, you begin to rise. You've got to forgive yourself for the moments you settled, for the times you believed the lies, for the times you dimmed your light just to make other people comfortable. That version of you did the best they could with what they knew, but now you know better. And when you know better, you do better. You can't rewrite your past, but you can redefine its meaning. You can look back at every scar and say, that didn't break me, built me. You can take every failure, every rejection, every heartbreak, and turn it into the evidence of your resilience. You're not the same person who went through that pain. You're the one who survived it. The world will always try to put you in a box. It'll tell you, stay in your lane. But that's because small minds fear expansion. The moment you start dreaming beyond what's expected, people get uncomfortable. They'll try to remind you of who you used to be. They'll say, you're not that kind of person. But don't let their memory of you become your prison. You don't owe anyone the old version of yourself just because they're afraid of the new one. Every time you take a step forward, every time you choose growth over comfort, you're rewriting the story. You're proving that your past can't hold you hostage unless you let it. You're showing that reinvention isn't betrayal, it's evolution. You're not abandoning who you were, you're honoring who you're becoming. There's power in declaring, this is not my final form. There's strength in saying, I'm not done yet. Because life is about becoming, not being. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to stop letting who you were yesterday decide what you can be today. The only person you owe an explanation to is the one staring back in the mirror. The only approval you need is your own. So stop shrinking to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Stop apologizing for your potential. Stop explaining your transformation to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. The story they wrote about you is over. The pen is in your hands now. And this time, you're writing it your way. You are not who they think you are. You are who you decide to become. There's a power in silence that most people never understand. We live in a world obsessed with noise. Everyone talking, posting, proving, showing, announcing. Everybody wants to be seen, but true power doesn't need to announce itself. True confidence doesn't need to be loud. The strongest people I've ever met are the ones who move quietly. They don't talk about what they're going to do. They just do it. They don't brag about their goals. They execute them. They don't need validation. They let the results speak. You see, there's something sacred about building in silence. When you're quiet, you're focused. You're not distracted by opinions or approval. You're not wasting energy explaining your vision to people who will never understand it. You're channeling that energy into creating, into becoming, into doing. Silence becomes your strategy. It becomes your strength. Because here's the truth. Not everyone deserves access to your process. Not everyone should know what you're working on. Some people don't want to see you win. They want to see you explain yourself so they can find reasons to doubt you. That's why you have to move differently. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're not doing much. Meanwhile, you're behind the scenes stacking wins, sharpening your edge, preparing for the moment when your success becomes undeniable. There's a reason the lion doesn't need to roar to be feared. It's not the noise that makes him powerful, it's his presence. And the same goes for you. You don't need to talk about your next move. Just become it. Let people wonder what you're doing. Let your progress confuse them. Let your results make the announcement. Every time you try to prove yourself to people who doubt you, you drain yourself. You give them power. You hand over control of your energy. But when you stop explaining, when you stop trying to justify your journey, you take that power back. You stop living for their reaction and start living for your purpose. That's when things begin to change. That's when your growth accelerates. Because now you're not performing, you're producing. You're not talking about discipline, you're living it. You're not posting about the grind, you're in the grind. You're too busy getting better to care who's watching. And here's the thing, success doesn't need to shout. It whispers through consistency. It shows up in the quiet decisions, the early mornings, the long nights when nobody's watching. It's built in moments that never make it to social media. That's where greatness lives, in the invisible. The people who make the most noise are often the ones trying to convince themselves they're doing enough. But those who are truly locked in, they don't have time to broadcast their progress. They're too busy chasing it. They don't need to remind the world what they're building. They're becoming it one decision at a time. When you move in silence, you also protect your peace. You stop letting external voices interfere with your internal focus. You stop allowing criticism to shake your confidence. Because the truth is, the more you share, the more room you give others to project their fears onto your dream. And you don't need that. You don't need their doubt mixed with your vision. You need clarity. You need solitude. You need space to grow without the noise of judgment. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Let your work speak. Let your actions tell your story. Let your consistency become your argument. People might question you now, but when the results come, the same people who doubted you will start asking how you did it. And when that day comes, you won't need to defend yourself. You'll just smile because you'll know that silence wasn't weakness. It was focus. You've got to learn to fall in love with being underestimated. That's your advantage. When they don't see you coming, you can move freely. You can experiment. You can grow without pressure. You can prepare without distraction. There's power in being unseen. Because when your breakthrough happens, it'll feel like it came out of nowhere. But you'll know how many hours, how many sacrifices, how many quiet victories built that moment. Don't chase applause. It fades. Don't chase attention. It's hollow. Chase impact. Chase mastery. Chase the kind of excellence that speaks for itself long after the noise dies down. Because when your work is real, when it's built on discipline, integrity, and purpose, it will echo. It will reach people in ways no announcement ever could. And when you reach that level, when your silence turns into success, you'll realize something powerful. You never needed to prove anything. The ones who truly make a difference in this world aren't the loudest. They're the most consistent. They're the ones who stayed focused while everyone else was talking. So don't tell them you're coming. Don't post every move. Don't seek validation. Just keep showing up. Keep working. Keep evolving. Because when the world finally sees what you've built, it won't be because you told them. It'll be because they can't ignore it anymore. Let success make the noise.